Welcome, everyone, to the Holstein House podcast. I'm the West Virginia woman, Robin, of RobinHolstein.com and Holstein House, where my guests get a great night's sleep at a fair rate plus breakfast. This is a podcast that looks at society and culture issues affecting families in West Virginia and the United States, from food preparation and storage, gardening, home repairs, current events, and more. We'll go around the table and back in 60 minutes or less. So let's hang out and talk a while. Good morning, all y'all. How are you on this cold and blustery morning? Our temperature's been dropping since this morning. It was like 42 or something like that on the front porch this morning, and it's been dropping and the wind's blowing, and it's even cold down here in the bunker. So I've been thinking may have to relocate back upstairs for the winter because it's chilly down here. It really is. So this is Tuesday, November the 28th, 2023, and it's episode 119 of the Holstein House broadcast, answering your questions on hosting a B&B from your home, your food pantry, food preparation and storage questions, and more. And in the more category, today's broadcast, we're going to discuss seasonal affective disorder and also some holiday routine things if we get to them this morning. And I encourage you at any time to say hello. I'll do the best that I can to catch it and say hello back to you while we're live. Sometimes I get a little tunnel vision going on and I don't see the comments coming in, but I love to have them, love to have you, love to hear what you have to say, and love to hear from where you are. I mean, we can go and look at our analytics and see the countries and things where the viewers are coming from. We can't like zoom down on your house or anything like that, but we get a general, especially on our podcast, because Podbean gives us a general idea of where the downloads are coming from, the cities, or not the cities, but the countries and areas of the world where they're coming from, the times of day that they're coming from. And I just love to be able to put names to some of that information, even if it is just your stage name or your Noster name or your podcast name or aliases or whatever phrase you want to use. It doesn't have to be your real one, but I kind of like to be able to say hello. I know over on the Fountain app, sometimes people will just use whatever ID Fountain conjures up for them when they create their account. It'll be a long string of numbers, and it's just really insane trying to repeat those when people say hello. But I like to do that. I like to say hello to everybody. I hope your Thanksgiving went well here in the United States. Our Thanksgiving was last Thursday, and it is the unofficial start of the Christmas season. And that's because at the end of Thanksgiving, traditionally, once they started, well, I guess even before they broadcasted them, but the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in New York was always a favorite in our household when I was growing up, and Mom always had it on. And it didn't always keep my attention, but they had the balloons and they had the bands and they had the majorettes and they had the performers and stuff. And at the end of the parade, which signified the end of Thanksgiving, you had some version of Santa Claus. Usually it was the one made popular by Coca-Cola back many decades ago, the big jolly fat white-haired guy with the red nose and the blushing cheeks and stuff and the pipe and the reindeers and stuff. That was always that became the icon for Christmas, for Thanksgiving, or for Santa Claus for a long time. And then, there was there was a period of time when people went back to the Victorian style of Christmas decorating. And so the Victorian style St. Nicholas became the fashion of the day, or the fad of the day of decorating and stuff. But always at the end of Thanksgiving was considered the beginning of Christmas season. So in the retail world, that has bumped up to, honestly, after Labor Day. in the United States. After the first Monday of September, we started seeing little pieces of Christmas, this, that, and the other. You may see some Christmas candies out. You may see some Christmas decorations out, a few here and there. And then before even Halloween was over, it was just full-blown Christmas everywhere. It's disgusting to me to walk through the shops, the retail shops, and see that stuff so early and so commercialized. But they do it partially because people buy it, and so that helps keep them in profit. And of course, a business that's not in profit can't survive. I don't know what the magic number was. Seemed to me there was one time it needed to have, I don't remember where I read this now. It was back many years ago when I was starting my virtual assistant business. I want to say it was like you needed a 30% markup to be profitable, but I don't remember now if that's right or not, but it's probably a lot more than that anyway. But yeah, so those of you guys who are listening on the podcast, and those of you guys who may catch the replay of the video, say hello and leave your name, and let me know where you're watching or listening from. I'd love to actually validate some of those analytics over there. So also, if you've tried leaving comments to me on other, I tend to use Podbean, I use Podbean to distribute my podcast to all of the different podcast apps and players. If you are trying to reach me through one of those other ones other than Podbean or Fountain.fm, I don't know why I struggle with that. But, and I don't respond back, please go over to robinholstein.com and go to the comments page and fill out a little comment there and let me know so that I can start. I'm going to have to upgrade my phone to do this. I hate to do that because I don't like owing on these stupid phones. And I think they're designed to fill up and, with all the updates and everything and planned obsolescence. That's a phrase of the year so far. But to add the different podcasting apps, I'm going to have to do that, I guess. And I'd love to hear from you and know that you're out there and which ones you're listening to. So I do see on the Podbean analytics, one of the Google players, there's FM, darn it, there I go again, Fountain.fm, Podbean, Google Podcaster, Google something, Tune In, I think it's Tune In. And there's one more that are like the top 4 that people listen to the broadcast on. I don't know if I can look at that real quick or not. I might be able to. Bear with me. Let me see if I can do that. If I can, it won't take but a couple of seconds. What I'm going to do is I have to log into Podbean here. I need to do a lot of updating and stuff. I've said that before and I just haven't done it. I haven't had time. Oh my gosh. And I don't want to be complaining about that anymore. I know you guys are tired of hearing that. Oh, let's see. Statistics, overview, and in the last, what's the time frame on this? For the month of November, my audience primarily comes from the United States, Spain, and then Canada. So the United States is 29.58%, so almost 30%. Spain is almost 10%, and Canada is almost 6%. Then Germany, United Kingdom, Brazil, Bulgaria, Italy, Argentina, Thailand, Japan, Philippines, Portugal. I've skipped over a few, obviously. And the rest of them are mostly under 0.5%. But yeah, so that's where most of the folks are coming from. And where is my download times of the day? Looks like Wednesdays between, and I guess this is Eastern time, between midnight and 7 a.m. And then on Tuesdays between 4 p.m. and 10 p.m. tends to be the most downloaded times. And the download sources, Fountain.fm is 91.4%. Pocket Cast, that's one I need to get on my phone. Pocket Cast is 2%. Google Podcast is what I was trying to think of, is 1%. And the other ones, iHeart is less than 1. iOS is less than 1. AntennaPod, I've never heard of that. Google Chrome, I guess that's just from the browser. So yeah, folks over at Fountain make 91% of the downloads. Thank you so much for that, by the way. I really appreciate it. And let's see. So episode 116 as of right now is the top. Is the number one out of the top 10 most downloaded episodes, and that's the one on responsible gun ownership. So yeah, that makes kind of sense there. I've tried to get a little bit better with my my titles. I still struggle with that stuff. I don't know. Anyway, thank you for indulging me on that. That can take up the space that I usually allot for talking about the BNB, because I've had the calendar closed, and I'm going to still have to have it closed for a little while. I end up scrambling around here. Dad had an appointment with his spine doctor yesterday, and the one injection, he told them it didn't help much, didn't help his pain much. I'm not, there's not a pain monitor flashing across his head, so I want to make sure everybody understands that. But I saw him move better after that first injection. He says it didn't help him much. I watched him walk better, and I wasn't going to sit there and tell the doctor that's not true. He did feel better, because I'm not in Dad's shoes, so I can't say that. Wouldn't say that anyway. But I did see him move better for the first several days after that initial shot. So the Dr. Kars, it's not spelled C-A-R-S, it's spelled C-A-K-A-R-T-Z or something like that, but it's pronounced Kars. Wants to do another couple sets of injections in the spine. He says should give him much more relief, because what he's got going on in his spine is, in the thoracic spine, is arthritis. Granted, not a surprise, and that those injections can help. But he also has stenosis in the thoracic spine, down where the tailbone. So you can maybe remember from school that your tailbone is kind of curved, and then your nerve bundles that come out of your tailbone that go down into the lower half of your body, come out of there like a big ponytail. That's the best thing I can explain it, is like a big ponytail out of the spine. And so what Dad's got is a buildup of bone spur and arthritis and stuff building up in there, and so it's compressing. And so what he showed him, I wish I had a good example of it. He can put this thing, it just looks like a bolt in a nut, is what it looks like, in between some vertebrae, to keep that space in there and give him some relief from the pressure. He said it's an outpatient surgery. The surgery itself taking 20, 25 minutes or so to do, and then of course he's got to get over it and get home and all that stuff. But we're looking at that maybe, I suspect, the first of the year, because of just the calendar. But the additional shots, they're going to send a note to the house, I guess, like they did before. They just send here's your appointment time. They don't ask you, they don't work with you, they just send it and expect you to call if it doesn't fit your schedule. So my schedule is now up in the air again, which is fine because it's for Dad, but it makes day-to-day planning very difficult, and it makes it very difficult to plan in advance of a few days. And although I don't do huge amounts of of scheduling. My life is not usually so scheduled. The past several months it has been, and it's been very confining and very constricting, and I've had a challenge of it the last few days. So it's it's a handful when you're dealing with taking care of your parents or anyone really for a longer term. It can be a challenge. It can definitely be a challenge. So I'll continue to have the calendar closed, unfortunately, because I don't know when Dad's appointments are going to be. And in theory, I could have a person scheduled to stay and get the notice in the mail that that's the day that Dad's going to have his back surgery, and it's canceled the guest or cancel the surgery because you can't do both. So I continue to have the calendar closed, and I actually am thankful that I have that flexibility. That I'm in a position in my life where I have that flexibility to be there for Dad. So while it does come off a lot as being a complaint or oh, just whining or moaning, it's not really. I don't mean it that way. It's all good. It's all good. It's just adjusting. Mm. My lukewarm coffee. This is a steel thing. Mr. Holstein bought this for me. I don't remember where we were going, and it says Duchess. It was from some truck stop that we were at for on a trip. I don't know if we were going to. It would have been Florida. I was thinking we had the kids with us, and I don't remember. I was thinking there was quite a few of us together when he got me that. Oh, well, it is. It's a coffee cup. It's a coffee cup, a steel coffee cup. So we'll talk a little bit about general projects around Holstein House right now. General projects going on are as they have been for a while. We're looking at having to deal with the dog house, with the Ramsey house, with the bunker, and some stuff over at Dad's. And right now, we just I talked to Mr. Holstein the other evening, and I said, I need a plan for this. I just can't be going by the seat of my pants anymore. We've got to have a plan. And really, it kind of ended up that I have to have the plan. He didn't say that, but I went into the doghouse and I said, if we can clear enough stuff out of this front room that I can, stage things in here. It's not that big of a room, but I could stage a few things in here and try to sell them on Facebook Marketplace. But the more I looked in there, the more my brain just about exploded, because some of the things, it's just, we could do it. It's just going to take so much to move stuff around to get things out of the way so that we can stage other stuff to sell it. And we have several bedroom sets to sell. We have some end tables. We have a couple of kitchen table type or dining room table. One of them is really, really heavy. I can barely move it. I don't have chairs with them, though. I actually have some old Barbie townhouse kind of things, vintage townhouse. I tried to sell those one time before, and nobody would buy them. And let me think. There's a couple of old electric sewing machines. I kind of want to keep those. What am I going to do with them? I don't know. So there's a lot of things in the doghouse that need to be sold, and I'm going to have to work the plan out for that to get. I have to clean that area up and get those things out of there. So I'd love to hear. How have you tackled a project like that where you've had to clear out an area and you're just at a loss of where to start? And what I'd like to hear what you have done when you can't sell. Do you automatically just give things like to Goodwill or to Salvation Army, or one of those type of programs, or do you auction them some way? We talked about, Mr. Holstein and I talked a little bit about is there a company that will auction or sell things for you and you split the profits? And we could maybe do that, but with the Ramsey house, if we're talking about the Ramsey house, we have to get the stuff out of there. It's not safe for other people to walk. It's really not safe for us to walk around either, but I wouldn't put the liability on to have someone else go through there. So addressing those, all of these houses, the Ramsey house, the dog house, they have furniture that we have to deal with. They have clothing that we have to deal with. We have to empty these things. And I don't like the idea of just bringing in anybody willy-nilly just to clear the stuff out. I really feel like that we need to have eyes on and maybe even hands on some things before we let them out of our sight. The Ramsey house still has family photos that I'm trying to get back to the family. And every time I reach out to them, they say, well, I've got to talk to the other family members. And then it's just like radio silence. So I don't want to I wouldn't want somebody getting rid of my family photos. So I'm sure there's some grandchildren in that family that would like to have those photos, but I can't reach them. I don't know how to reach them. The bunker here is cold. I do need a big clearing out here as well. It's almost going to take like a week per room to deal with stuff, and that would be a nonstop week. And I don't have a nonstop week per room to clear these things out. They've accumulated over time because I didn't have time to deal with things individually. So like here in the bunker, I have a lot of crafting things that I moved here from when we moved over here. And I just have not had a chance to sit down and go through and properly, give away or send away or donate away things that are in boxes. And it's I need a couple extra bodies. I really do. I don't know. You might remember back in the spring when I was looking for someone to help me do the housekeeping, and I was trying to get somebody, and I was going to pay somebody to do that, and what I thought was a very fair rate. It shouldn't have taken, after a person gets used to the flow of the house, it shouldn't have taken more than 2 hours to go through and just do the sweeping, dusting, and mopping or steaming. That was it. No dishes, no cooking, no laundry, none of that stuff. To free up some time for me to deal with things here, I couldn't get anybody. I tried several times. I had a lady come that was a very nice lady. She's in my church, and she just wasn't able to commit to a couple of hours a week. Frequently, she was saying, I can't do it today, I have to do it tomorrow. I can't do it today, I have to do it tomorrow. And then I can't do it this week at all. It has to be next week. And it just really got to be, it wasn't that she wasn't trustworthy. It was just things in her life were causing her problems. And so she was not able to commit to it. Had a young lady who was looking for a little extra money. And she came one time and she was heading up on 4 hours. And I said, you got to stop. This shouldn't take 4 hours. And she was pulling all of my furniture away from the wall. She was doing like a spring cleaning kind of thing. And this is not what I wanted her to do. And so then she didn't have anyone to keep her child after that. And so she didn't come back. And it just really got to be too much. And then I didn't have time to deal with trying to train people or look for people. I'm in that situation now with these other projects. I need help with them, but I can't get people who I can trust that are in the area that are willing to help. So it continues to be frustrating for me to manage these projects. And then that brings me back to, do I cut back one of the live broadcasts and gain this time? Because there's time that I have to get ready for this broadcast. There's the broadcast time itself, and then there's the upload time afterwards. And any editing or anything that I do with them takes out that much more time, So I don't, I'm not sure what I'm going to do there. I have, hang on a minute. I need to, let me find this. Let me do this. I need to step away real quick. Probably take me less than 30 seconds, but I will be right back. And I'm going to do this. No, that's not what it's supposed to be. All right, let me do this. And let me do this. And let me do this, and I'll be right back. I'm back. Sorry about that. Oh, I hope you weren't too bored there. I tried back as soon as I could. Then I had something to take care of real quick. You'll have that every now and again when you're doing these on your own. So I do want to touch again on the Christmas giveaway. I plan to give away copies of my books. This one, Everyday Upcycle. I'm still debating on whether to send a hard copy. I may very well do that. And then there are electronic versions of this. And there are 15 projects, upcycle projects in here that I wrote a few years ago. This is my my most recent cookbook, if you want to call it that. It's super meal ideas for tight budgets. Feed yourself and your family for less than $10 a day. And it is a series of meals that you can fix, recipes. Like here's one for beans and franks, which is kind of, it's not all that glamorous. It's not all that unusual of a meal, but it talks about using hot dogs and bean and bacon soup and pea soup and milk and water and stuff, and to make a lunch recipe and to help feed your family. And I put this together really. Here's one for breakfast: bacon and tomato. bacon, cheddar cheese soup, lemon juice, tomatoes, some toast. I put this together because there are so many people who are struggling to just get from paycheck to paycheck and to feed their family. And this is a week's worth of breakfast, lunch, and dinners that you can create from soups and very basic foods that most people are going to have access to, and that you can feed your family. It's not a keto diet. It's not a vegetarian diet. It's food that you can feed your family and get from point A to point B. Get from payday to payday, while you're struggling. And there's a lot of people who are struggling. There's a lot of people who are struggling. And a lot of young people, a lot of young parents that, just don't really know what to do and don't have a lot of money. And this is a series of recipes that can help with that. And then I do have another recipe book. It is a digital book only. I don't have it printed out at all. But it is and these are, well, the ones not, they're available on Amazon. And I've showed you that before. The other one is 25 recipes, favorite recipes that Grandma used to make. So why is Rumble's acting up? So if you're over there on Rumble, it's acting up on my end. I don't know if it's the PC or not, or if it's Rumble itself. But from here, StreamYard looks like it's running just fine. But I'm going to give those away on a Christmas special, and we'll get some more information out about that pretty soon. There's nothing exciting happening in the garden. It's cold. It's winter. There's nothing going on with the chickens and the ducks that isn't being going on every day. The young ducks are still laying. The old ducks are still not. They're just being cute and eating. And the chickens are hit and miss laying. The molt seems to be over for the 3 of them that were molting, but they have not started laying again, which is not unusual. Not unusual. I do not artificially light the coop. So they are reacting to the reduction in the sunlight hours in the day. And we'll talk a little bit about that with the seasonal affective disorder here coming up. Not for chickens and ducks, but we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Church life, Bible study, we're going to do this week and next week, and then we're going to break until January. I really need that break. This is a totally selfish decision on my part. Doing the Sunday service, which takes several hours to put together, it's not as easy as a lot of people think it is. You don't just walk up there and start talking. Putting together the Sunday service, printing all the bulletins, and all that stuff on top of the Bible study, which you have to put the Bible study together. You have to decide the Bible study. You have to set up the Bible study. Bible study day for me is a 6-hour day. I'm at the church at 8 in the morning. I don't leave until 1:30, 2 o'clock after it's all cleaned up. And so the lunch and learn also, this will be the last lunch and learn for the year, the one that's happening tomorrow. And so we break until January. It's just, I'm tired. I really am tired, and I need a break. And so we're still having Sunday service, and we're thinking about having a special Christmas service, and probably will do that. But I need some time off. The church roof, we do have the Give, Send, Go. There is a link in the description, and if you would consider $25 towards it, it would be great. We technically have reached our initial goal, and that's what we feel that we needed to at least, get the roof on. But that wipes us out. We have no money in our coffers after that's done. And so utilities will still have to be paid. Every dollar that we raise above that goal helps reduce the amount that we have to yank out of our total bank account, and so we can continue to pay our utility bills and stuff while we start doing some other fundraisers, local fundraisers like dinners, spaghetti dinners and bean dinners and bake sales and those traditional kind of things. So if you would consider it, there is a Give, Send, Go for the Diamond United Methodist Church. And the link, like I said, is down in the description. I would really appreciate it. I know there's a lot of folks that are chafing at organized religion, and I get it. Really, I'm in the middle of it with the Methodist Church, and I see some of the things going on that I'm not real fond of, but I don't have a chance of helping our church if we can't do the roof, if we can't keep the insurance, if we can't keep the lights on. And so at this point, even if our congregation, let's say, there's a big split brewing in the Methodist organization. And let's just, for the example, say that our congregation decided to split. We can't buy the church. And that's what most of these are doing. They're closing, and I have air quotes about closing as a Methodist church and reopening as a non-denominational or a different denomination. But what's happening is that congregation is purchasing the building and all of the things inside from the Methodist organization and opening, and so they're buying it themselves. Well, we can't do that. I don't know that we would want to in the long run if we had, let's say we had 25 people at regular services for 6 months or more, or whatever, to say that we have a strong congregation of 25 people routinely attending. And they decided to leave the Methodist organization. That's one thing. But as small as we are right now, that's not a choice we're going to make. And because we can't afford to take the church on. So we are where we are for the time being, and trying to build up not only our congregation, but serve the greater community. And those of you who have followed this YouTube or this broadcast any amount of time, you know that I've often talked about some of the community outreach programs that we've been doing at the church, clothing giveaways, our free lunch and learns, teaching people how to use a steam canner, talking about using pressure canners. We're not at the point where we can do a whole day pressure canning class, but we're working towards that. We're working towards teaching people how to handle their bills, how to make foods, how to just do several different kind of things. And it's a slow process. So if you would consider contributing to the Give, Send, Go, it'd be great. I won't elaborate on that anymore or beat you down with it anymore, because, you're either going to do it or you're not. And I pray that you will. And you will use the link below. I did have someone ask me about contributing via Satoshis. In order to do that, because our church does not have any kind of setup for accepting Satoshis, you would have to send them to me and trust that I will give them to the church. And I will do that. I will definitely do that. I will forward that on and convert that over for the church. But understand, you have to send those to me. And we have to do it that way. The church does not have a setup where they can take that, and it wouldn't be appropriate for me to just up and do it because the people who I would have to explain it to wouldn't be able to understand it. It would take a lot of education to do it, and at this point, it's not something that I'm comfortable just up and doing myself. So I hope you can understand that the position I'm in there. But please consider it. I'm praying that you will contribute and help us offset the total because the amount that's on the go It's not GoFundMe, it's Give, Send, Go. I may have said GoFundMe, but it's Give, Send, Go. The total amount that's on the Give, Send, Go was just like the minimum that we needed. We really need more. I don't know if I'm going to go in there and adjust that or not. I may. But that was the absolute minimum we needed. So I appreciate it. Thank you. I know I ramble sometimes when these things come up because I don't have a polished presentation for it. I do think I need to do a video for it. I have to work on that. So that's going to bring us down to our primary, our larger topic that's not specifically related to running a B&B or a small homestead or, food preservation and stuff, and that's seasonal affective disorder. And it's kind of timely because I had something happen yesterday and just it dawned on me, there's your sign. There it is. It's here. Seasonal affective disorder is classified as a type of depression. Now, I'm not a doctor. I don't want to give that impression that I am a doctor or I have no advanced, I'm not a nurse or anything. I have no advanced medical training. But I have struggled with seasonal affective disorder for several years. And most of the time, it's not bad. It's just annoying. But it's about this time of year when it kind of kicks in and I notice and think, okay, this is what's happening. It's classified as a type of a depression, and the information that I'm going to share with you today comes from the Cleveland Hospital, Cleveland Clinic, Johns Hopkins, and the Mayo Clinic. It's just all kind of says the same thing, but that's where the information has come from today. It's classified as a type of depression that's related to the changing seasons. More specifically, the change in the amount of sunlight or daylight hours that we're exposed to. In my personal research, I have learned, and this is over the years, I have learned that this tends to be something that people who are genetically from areas significantly north of the equator, and I mean like significantly north of the equator. And my gene pool comes from Ireland, Scotland, Scandinavia, Germany, over in there. So that is significantly higher than the equator. And so the number of daylight hours available in the wintertime, as in the upper hemisphere, the northern hemisphere in the wintertime is significantly less. And so your body goes through these changes of lowered vitamin D, lower exposure to the ultraviolet light that we need that helps set our rhythms of our daytimes and our night times. And it usually it starts happening as we have the summer solstice and the winter solstice, and then we have the spring and autumn equinox. No, wait a minute. I think I got those backwards. With the equinoxes is when it's equally daylight. So it's summer and winter, and then the solstice. Anyway, I should have written that down. I know I get this backwards all the time. When we start in the summer, when we have the first day of official summer, when the daylight hours are equal, are 12 hours of sunlight and 12 hours of darkness. And then the daylight hours start getting shorter. Then you don't really notice it. You don't notice it until about, so of course we also have the time change stupidity where we're switching our clocks, which adds to the frustration. But as we get closer to the first day of winter, when there's so much or so little daylight hours and so much more dark hours, our body starts to suffer from this. And we get more lethargic, and we get we want to sleep more. We're looking for more carbohydrates. We get moody and depressed in some situations where you just don't feel like doing anything. And these are symptoms of seasonal affective disorder. Some people, now I noticed it, well, I notice it all the time, but I decided like last night, okay, this is what's happening after I got kind of hateful with my dad yesterday about a question he asked me. So Dad was asking about the insurance at the church and stuff, and I was telling him the policy, that stuff that they sent was real. It was like thick; it needed to be put into a binder. And he said, "The insurance sent that?" And I just looked at him and I said, "No, Dad, Santa Claus sent it." Now that was the rudest thing I could have said to my dad. And I thought, why would you say something like that to your dad? You should never have done that. So the more I thought about it, the more I thought, wait a minute, the daylight hours are getting very noticeably short. So today, the sun come out. It got daylight around 7:20 in the morning, and it will be getting dark. The sun will set at about 5:06. Now that's from the weather app that I use. So that's less than 9.5 hours of daylight, and it's going to continue to get shorter and shorter and shorter until about the 21st of December, which is the first day of winter. So we've got 3 more weeks of this daylight hours getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And before we start seeing it getting a little longer here and there by a minute here and a minute there. And it's usually about February when I notice that my mood has lightened. The daylight hours are more, and my mood has lightened. But sometimes it gets really, and it's compounded by Christmas and the holiday season here for a lot of reasons. You know, my son lives out of state. My other son committed suicide several years ago. My mother's gone. You know, I don't have the family around like I have in the past because, you know, so many of them have passed away and such, and grown up and moved away, that I start to feel lonely and I feel sad, and that's where some of this comes from. And it's the shortening of the daylight hours. So if you're like most people with seasonal affective disorders, or if you think you might, your symptoms, they'll start in the fall and they'll continue throughout the winter months. It'll get a little worse and a little worse, and you'll feel your energy drain. You'll feel moody. But you notice that as it gets closer to spring and there's longer daylight hours, that you feel better. Sometimes seasonal affective disorder causes significant depression and you need to see a doctor. If you get to where you are thinking of suicide, whether you're thinking of death, if you're thinking that life is just terrible, if you can't get up and you start having these reactions where you just can't function, you should talk to your doctor about it, because you may need some type of medical treatment. Now, whether that is pharmaceutical treatment or light therapy, you can get what they call light boxes. And these are full spectrum lights, and they're designed to for you to set in front of, and it increases the natural lights, the full spectrum of light that you get when you're out in the sun. So it kind of mimics being out in the sun. And you do this because I was talking about chickens. I don't artificially light the coop to fool the chickens into thinking the daylight hours are longer, to make them, you know, lay eggs longer. It's not to make you lay eggs longer, but it's kind of the same. It's to trick your body into thinking that there's more daylight hours. And so your body produces the hormones that keep your mood light and keep you in a better frame of mind. One of the things that I have done personally is I have consciously purchased the full spectrum lights when I go to the store to buy replacement bulbs, whether it be replacement fluorescents or the LEDs or the screw-ins like the old incandescents. I look on the label and they are kind of more expensive, but I don't have them in every light in the house. I have them in key lights. Like when I have the overhead light on in here, it is a full spectrum bulb. Now I don't have that while I'm doing these videos because it screws up the lighting for the videos. So you won't notice it. I have them in the kitchen because when I'm in the kitchen cooking, especially in the winter, it's dark outside when I'm cooking dinner, or sometimes it's dark when I'm fixing breakfast. And that light, I'm turning that light on and I'm getting that full spectrum of light that helps my mind say, okay, it's daylight, it's morning. I can look outside and see it's dark, but my mind is getting through my eyes this full spectrum of light that's teasing my brain into thinking, aha, yeah, there you go. You are, it's daylight, it's summer, it's happy. You don't need to be sad. But if and that is something that you can do instead of prescription medication, but you still need to talk to the doctor about it because you need them to know that you're struggling with this, that you are trying the full spectrum lights. Do they suggest that you try a different type of light? Do they suggest that you have your light? Some people have a timer so that a particular lamp will come on slowly, like slowly dawn, and be on, mimicking the morning, daylight. So you are fooling the brain into thinking, okay, the sun's coming up, it's time to wake up, instead of just that harsh alarm clock going off and you wake up and in the dark and you turn a light on and suddenly there's the light. You can also, it's not, our house isn't really good for this because the windows are kind of drafty, but if you can leave your curtains open enough that you can get the daylight coming in as the sun comes up in the morning so that your mind notices, hey, it is daylight, that can help too. But seasonal affective disorder is a little worse than just the blues. It's kind of really down. It's more than just kind of being a little moody. I don't really have a good explanation for it. Women tend to be affected more than men. I don't know why, but that's what the research is saying from these different organizations. Maybe it's because we have more wires between the halves of our brain. I don't know. That kind of seems counterintuitive because you'd think the more wires between the sides of the brain, the more likely we would be connected and doing better. But some of the symptoms, some of the really hard symptoms are sadness, feeling depressed most of the day, almost every day during this period of time. And maybe you tell yourself, you know what? I know that by the time Halloween rolls around, I'm just kind of in this really bad place. And it happens all the time. Every year it's like that. But then by Valentine's Day, I'm starting to feel better. That's a key sign that you might want to speak to your doctor about. Anxiety, you may feel more anxious. You may have carbohydrate cravings and then gain weight because your body is trying to boost those hormones and through foods, carbohydrate heavy foods, and of course because you're not out much, you're gaining weight. Extreme fatigue and lack of energy, and this isn't just I'm tired of doing this. This is I have no energy. I can't do this. Feeling hopeless or worthless. Now, I'm going to tell you, it's easy to feel that way, but you're not worthless. You're not worthless. You may feel like it, but you're not. And if you really feel hopeless and worthless and you start thinking to yourself, what's the point? You need to talk to your doctor about, is it possibly seasonal affective disorder that you're struggling with? Trouble concentrating, we all have that from time to time. This is more like a consistent trouble concentrating. Feeling irritated or agitated. Again, this is a little more extreme than just, okay, I feel irritated or agitated. This is really consistently irritated, constantly agitated. You just feel like every part of your body is heavy, like your legs and your arms. It's like, oh God, I just don't want to do this anymore. Those types. And remember, everything is relative. So what I might think is just, may not feel that way to you. A loss of interest in what you would normally like to do. Like if you really like to go bowling and not suddenly, but gradually every winter you notice, I just don't like to bowl. I don't want to leave the house. So you almost want to become a recluse, you just don't want to go anywhere. You withdraw from social activities. I'm struggling with that now. As I say, I have got to not have I've got to cut off the Bible study and I've got to cut off the lunch and learn until January. Partially it's because of this seasonal affective, but partially it's because I'm just exhausted from having too much going on at one time. So I need a break, and that's something that I can do and take a break from. Having trouble sleeping, usually though it's oversleeping, and oversleeping because it's dark. We kind of giggle about, oh, bears in hibernation. I could hibernate, I could sleep. When you start having issues getting up, because you've overslept, because you're sleeping through the alarm clock, perhaps, and it's not normal for you, other than, every winter, it seems like by the time Christmas gets here, I just can't get up with the alarm clock. I'm always oversleeping. Combined with all those other things, or many of those other things, you may need to consider that you have seasonal affective disorder. And of course, anytime anyone has thoughts of suicide or death, that's a red flag, my friends. If you are thinking suicide, please go see someone who will take you seriously and who will talk to you about it. As the mother of a son who committed suicide, I'm going to tell you, your family wants you around. Your friends want you around. And suicide it's forever, but it's rarely ever the fix. It's not. And I still have a hard time discussing my son's suicide. And it kind of gets a little better as time goes. And he committed suicide in 2012. And I went in and I found him. And it absolutely devastated me. And I had no idea he was struggling the way he was struggling, that it was what was the problem was so bad that he felt the only way out was to commit suicide. And I had really tried, I thought, to work with him to try to help him get back. He had been in some trouble with the law, and he'd been in jail and stuff, and I was trying to help him get back on his feet enough that he could slowly rebuild his life. But what I didn't have was time. He had been apparently thinking of this for a long time, and he'd only been home for a few weeks and just decided he didn't have what it took. I guess he didn't tell anybody he was going to do it. He didn't tell any of us he was going to do it. I found messages on his phone later to a person in what I believe was Kentucky that kind of goaded him into it. If you're going to do it. Don't be a chicken, and that kind of stuff. And this was before it became, I don't want to say acceptable, but before anyone had successfully sued that someone else aided in, or was an accomplice to a suicide because they were urging someone to do it. This person that I believe was female was telling him that, and so I saw his last few text messages. But anyway, I don't want to get out off of that. But if you are starting to have thoughts of suicide, please don't. Please don't. It's not. There is someone. I mean, this world is huge. There's someone who can help. There's someone who will love you, and there's someone there's someone you can talk to in this world. And of course God. I mean, I don't want to leave God out of anything. Sometimes we get ourselves in a corner and we feel like he's not there, but he's always there, and he'll always help us. It may not make it easy. He won't necessarily, smooth the way, but he won't leave our side if we ask him not to. Some of the things that might be recommended if you are consider, talking to your physician about, do I have seasonal affective disorder? They may consider melatonin. I know the doctor suggested that I try melatonin, and it gave me nightmares. So I didn't take it very long, but it did help. It did help, but I tended to have more vivid dreams, and they would wake me up, and so it kind of was like a catch-22 for me. It doesn't do everybody that way. And melatonin is the chemical that your body produces, and it does help you sleep. We talked a little bit about the symptoms, and diagnosis is mostly talking to your doctor and explaining how you're feeling, and kind of documenting your symptoms. Light therapy, talking to your doctor. If it's bad enough, maybe you get antidepressants, or those who aren't into pharmaceuticals may opt for some more herbal related remedies. There are some herbs that you can take that apparently mimic big pharma, as like people like to say, medications. Talking to people, getting regular exercise. You know what? It's amazing how much exercise can really help. Excuse me a second. Oh, I'm sorry for you guys on the podcast. I had to cough, and I didn't want to cough in your ear. But exercise, believe it or not, if you can get in the habit of exercise, it can really help. It helps flush your body out. It helps get your circulation going. It helps your body pull the toxins out. And of course, when you go to the bathroom and all that stuff, you get rid of those toxins. And it can help improve your mood. It helps burn off that excess. I've gone through periods of time for different reasons where I just felt like I was pinned in a cage, and I just had to get out. And I would walk, and I'd walk, and I'd walk till I was almost exhausted. But that would help. That would help burn off that tension, burn off that anxiety, burn off that excitement. And it really helped a lot for that. Alcohol and drugs. Alcohol is a very well-known and documented depressant. So that's not really going to help, the old crying in my beer songs and things like that. And there's a lot of truth to that. So you kind of want to steer away, cut back. If you're into drugs, or not drugs, but if you're into drinking a lot of alcohol, cut back. Maybe stop altogether and see if your mood lightens a little bit. Of course, if you've been drinking a lot, you may have some struggles just related to that. Don't make giant decisions. If you're trying to decide whether to buy a house, and you're in a spell of seasonal affective disorder, maybe you don't want to make that decision at that time. Maybe you want to put that off for a while. If you're just trying to decide whether to get married, I've been married 3 times. It can be, it's a big deal. You don't want to jump into it. I learned along the way that a longer dating relationship is preferred. I got my second husband. It was kind of a rebound thing, and that I should never have done that. So that was a bad move. But big decisions like that, changing job. Don't quit your job in the middle of a seasonal affective downswing. You may have a different outlook, and things may be a lot better once the daylight comes out, or once you've addressed with your physician your seasonal affective disorder. And sometimes it takes a while, especially if you're using light therapy. It's not going to be like that. It's not going to be overnight, and you're little Mary Sunshine again. So it can take a little while, and it's a challenge. And it's I think depression is a word that we don't like to hear. But I think there are different levels of depression. So you can be depressed for a short period of time, or you can have a significant depression. Of course, you and your doctor need to work that out. But if you're noticing, or if you think, hey, that sounds a lot like what I'd usually do about this time of year, I'm just really so down, I can't enjoy the holidays. Talk to your physician and see if maybe that's it. And, like I said, it doesn't always necessarily require prescription medications. It can be light therapy, and it can be as simple as lights that you buy that have the full spectrum range of lights. So It's not terrible. It can be managed. And, hey, if all else, you might be able to move south closer to the equator where you've got more equal amounts of daylight and darkness so that, I like that idea myself. I I think the idea of moving south is great until I start looking at weather patterns in the southern part of the United States, down around Georgia and Florida and Texas and down in there. I kind of don't like some of those weather patterns. I don't know if it would be worth the trade off to have more daylight hours or less weather issues. So I don't want to be down around hurricanes. I don't want to be down in Tornado Alley. I don't want to be worried. I used to live in Texas that it was okay. I had a big culture shock and I didn't adjust well when I lived out there. So I don't really want to go back to Texas. Nothing against Texas specifically. It just wasn't for me. But maybe you don't want to make that decision in the middle of the winter time. A lot of people, people who retire, they snowbird. Maybe that's an option for you. You snowbird south and snowbird back home in the warm weather. But so we've gone over right over an hour, and I'm going to start wrapping it up there. But I want you to think about this: seasonal affective disorder doesn't have to ruin your holidays. I was going to touch a little bit about the holiday routines. I don't think I'll do that since I'm already over the hour. I kind of like to stay at an hour. Because I just think it's easier on everybody if you kind of stick to your time slot. Because some folks are dedicated to other YouTubers and other broadcasters that I don't like to run over into their time and make people choose or have to leave early. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about today that maybe we'll get to on Friday was just the different change in routines because of the holidays. I don't have the first Christmas decoration up in the house other than in the guest room, which probably the way it's looking, we may not have any guests over the Christmas holiday. So I did get that room tidied up a little bit, dusted up a little. I mean, we hadn't had anybody in there, but I went in and I dusted a little bit and changed put the little tiny ceramic Christmas tree up and a few things. In the room, flipped the calendar over for December because I knew we wouldn't have anybody before December 1st. So I did get that taken care of. But if you got this far, I hope today's discussion, today's broadcast was informative to you. And if you would please, whatever platform you're using, however you choose, however it asks you to show how you like it, whether it's click the little hearts or click the thumbs up or however it is, I hope you will do that. If you have never subscribed to the broadcast, I hope you will do that. And please share this page or this channel with your friends and say, there's a little bit of good information this lady talks about, this woman from West Virginia, the West Virginia woman, as I kind of claimed at when I started the broadcast last year. So please share it around and check the links. Don't forget the Gives and Go for the church and the Christmas giveaway information there. And I hope you have found something today that may help you or may help you understand something that somebody else is struggling with. And I appreciate your time and I appreciate you being here. And I hope you will say hello. And I know I just keep going on and on and on, and you want me to hush up, and I'm going to do that now. So thanks a lot, my friends. And we hope to see you again on Friday at 10, if all goes well. We'll see you then. So there you have it. Post your comments, do all that boosting, liking, sharing, thumbs up, and stuff that helps spread the word and poke the algorithms. Follow me on most of the big social media platforms and look for my name, Robin Holstein, or Holstein House. Till next time, bye-bye.